Coming up on Marcus and Joni, what does it really take to make relationships work? Dr. Doug Weiss is dishing out wisdom to help you succeed. Live from Daystar's world headquarters in Dallas, Texas, Marcus and Joni.
Well, the Love Doctor is back, and if you're wanting to spice up your love life, whether that be in or out of the bedroom, you'll definitely want to stay tuned with us. Also, we want to invite you to keep on calling, sending in any and all the questions you might have, whether it be about love, marriage, or sex. And with that, let's get this started by welcoming the Director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center, Dr. Doug Weiss. Hey, how's it going? First of all, I want to say thank you for coming. I know we had to confirm whether you're still going to be able to make it or not because you're seeing people canceling flights and events here and there, but not you.
Not you.
You were canceling.
I'm like, hey, I'll be there. No problem.
Yeah.
No, you had a more powerful answer, which made me so happy. You said fear. I have no
I
fear.
have no fear of that.
That's awesome. Well, we're so glad to have you
Well,
here.
it's good to be here.
And, you know, we're going to have a wonderful show. We've already got lots of people calling in if there are questions.
Fantastic.
So we'll be hopefully getting to touch and help a lot of people,
Amen.
you know, with some ministry today.
Amen.
So give us an update on your family. How's everyone doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Hadassah's getting married this summer, so that's
Oh,
great.
congratulations.
Wow.
So we're in that process of becoming a father-in-law, which
Wow.
is great.
How is that? Tell us about the screening process. I want to know.
Well, he's actually a very godly young man.
Yeah.
Very proud of Chase, and he really loves Hadassah, and she's really better with him.
Wow.
You know, so you can tell.
Really?
I mean, they hung around this week and they were playing Bible trivia. I mean, how bad is that, right?
Oh, cute.
So, but I did give him all 7 of my marriage books.
Was that required reading material before?
This is just start with this, okay?
Yeah.
And so they're actually reading it, and they're doing the dailies, and they're praying and feeling and doing their stuff, and you know they're duplicating the structures that we have in our marriage, and it's wonderful. It's good to watch.
And was there required counseling with you?
No, they're going to do some. You know, they'll do some premarital, test stuff and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. they're going to be fine.
Awesome.
So cool. Well, congratulations.
Well, first of all, we want to ask you. I know that one of the biggest passions you have is it's called intimacy anorexia.
Yeah.
And you've recently written a book about that.
Yes.
So tell us first of all, what is that term for someone that may not be familiar with it?
Well, intimacy anorexia is the active withholding of spiritual, emotional, and sexual intimacy from your spouse. Everyone else thinks you're wonderful, but they're too busy for you. They blame you. They withhold love. They withhold praise. They withhold sex. They withhold their feelings. They'll control with money. They'll use anger and silence. You feel married and alone.
Wow.
And we get emails every day of, I live in a sexless marriage. I live in a lone marriage. They don't talk to me, men and women. This isn't a gender thing.
Right.
And so they feel trapped in their marriage, and it's very sad.
Wow, you know, in this age of social media where picture perfect is everything, you see all these beautiful pictures of couples at the sunrise. So we decided to, use social media also for people to send in their questions of the real raw things of what happens where no one else sees. And a lot of people have been vulnerable and shared their questions. So
the church they'll actually ask questions if you give them permission.
Oh.
If you say what's really going on with you, they'll, like in Daystar, they respond. Go ahead, let's hear what you got.
All right, do you want to start with number 1?
You go ahead.
Okay, let's start with number 1. I have been married for 16 years and I feel like I'm experiencing PTSD from years of porn, constant flirting, and infidelity. We are finally working together to repair what both parties have contributed to over the years. I still feel like I cannot trust my husband,
Yes.
and it's causing me anxiety and depression. I feel like I'm failing God by not being able to trust him. How can I work through this? Woo.
Well, this is legitimate because we actually
Wow.
did a book last year called Partner Betrayal Trauma. Her intuition of a whole chapter about 90% of the women who experience intimacy anorexia, porn addiction, sex addiction, infidelity, have exactly the PTSD symptoms, like 90%.
Wow.
And they can last over a year. So that is not her being a bad Christian. That is not her disappointing God. That's her trying to work those bullets out of her soul that her husband has put there. Now, she can get into a partners group. She can do some telephone counseling. She can accelerate that. But it's valid for her to feel PTSD, depression, weight gain, hormone imbalance, all kinds of stuff happen. And this is research that we did. This isn't like just me talking. We did research, and those symptoms are very valid. So it's partner betrayal trauma. There's a lot of work there that she can do, but every woman who's been through pornography, sex addiction, infidelity, will have trauma. Because it's not the what, it's the who. It's not the what that happened, because the scores for the pornography people or infidelity people or the intimacy anorexia people all were very similar. I mean, so similar they were indistinguishable.
Wow.
And you're thinking, well, what makes these three populations so similar is the who that betrayed them.
Okay, yeah.
It was the husband that betrayed him, either by withholding sex or by using porn or other things. And the trauma to the woman's the same.
So, you know, that's just so powerful to give her the freedom to let go of hurrying this process, to know that this is normal, what
Very
she's going
normal.
through.
Yeah.
It's normal.
We deal with this every day.
So what she can do now is not hold any guilt or shame, and then start a process of healing, which would begin with counseling.
Counseling, I would start with the partner betrayal trauma book, and then have him watch the partner betrayal video, because it explains to him what he'd done.
Okay.
And I explain, this is why she's depressed. This is why she's angry.
Wow.
This is why she has PTSD. This is why she cries uncontrollably. This is why. It's not her fault.
Right.
You know, you were driving and you ran her into a truck.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the way it is. And so, but, you know, this woman is millions of women. This is not one woman. This is millions of women, sadly, in the church.
Wow. Well, I hope you get your healing.
That helped, yes.
Number 2, so I am a woman who has been married to a narcissist for over 30 years. I've been suffering from PTSD, here we go again with PTSD, due to emotional trauma. How should I address this issue?
Very similar to what we just talked about. And it may be narcissism, it could be someone who has a sexual addiction, because the emotional immaturity of an addict and the characteristics of a narcissist are very similar. The addict grows out of them, the narcissist doesn't.
Wow.
Okay, so she would be fine to do the same book we just talked about, partner betrayal trauma. It's legit. It's legit.
Okay. Question number 3. Me and my husband just got married, and he already is neglecting sex with me.
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong?
Nothing. You're beautiful, you're godly, you have normal sexual desires. He's broken. I'd ask him about pornography. I'd ask him about self-behavior. I'd ask him about sexual abuse. And I would go to intimacyanorexia.com, look at the test, because if he's withholding sex, he's probably withholding love, praise, he's too busy for you, he's blaming you, it's your fault, you're this, you're that, and she's probably beautiful and wonderful. I've had some of the most gorgeous women in my office, Susie, who haven't had sex in years. And it started on the wedding night. Okay, and so yeah, it's a very big deal. It's like the silent plague that's in the church, but it's not silent anymore. And we have people call from all over the world. Because they watch a YouTube thing or something like that, and they go, oh my gosh, that's my marriage for 25 years.
Sure.
And so she's not doing anything wrong. And women have to stop blaming themselves for their husband's lack of behavior and for their husband's behavior. Okay. I don't know why women, I don't know, tell me, but I don't know why they do that. Oh, he's doing something stupid. It must be my fault. I don't get that. See, guys don't do that. If someone I know does something stupid, I go, they're doing something stupid. I don't go, oh, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
Right.
So women, stop taking blame or responsibility for men's behavior. Now, maybe they're a boy, they're not a man yet, and that might be part of it, but don't take responsibility if they're sexless with you. Don't take responsibility if they're looking at porn. Tell your pastor, tell another man, get a man involved, you know, but don't take responsibility for that, please. I just pray those chains come off of all the women listening to me. Do not take responsibility for your husband's behavior. It is not your fault. It's not about your beauty, your sex, your wrinkles, your age. It has nothing to do with you, for goodness sakes. That is not your issue. It's his. Give him the responsibility so he can heal.
Yeah. And you know what, I think we're seeing such a common thread. You know, there are lots of people out there that are dealing with these real heavy issues. And so people that are watching know you're not alone. I mean,
please, yes.
Truly, I mean, you're going through a situation where maybe you have a sexless marriage, or you feel like your husband or wife has been unfaithful and you're suffering from that anxiety or PTSD. Just these first 2 questions, you realize that other people are suffering as well. So just know that other people are struggling with this, and it's not you alone. You're not alone. So you can go out and seek the right steps to try to get help and try to get on a better path.
And I want to say to the guys too, you know, you're not alone if you're struggling with pornography. You're not alone if you're living a double life. Okay, and you're not alone if you haven't had, your wife is withholding sex from you. Okay, you're not alone. There's help, there's support groups, there's help, because it's not just a guy thing.
Right.
You know, so very important. Good.
Wow.
All right, next one.
4.
We were in the process of adopting a child, which is a really exciting thing, but I feel like my spouse is rejecting me in the bedroom more often now. I don't want to start adopting children if that means my needs won't be met. What should I do?
Is that a man or a woman?
I'm guessing it's a woman.
Okay, I don't know that.
I'm not sure.
So
but
we don't know.
We don't know.
So we don't know.
We don't know.
But I think that what this person's heart is, I need to make sure that our spiritual, emotional, and sexual relationship is stable.
Yes.
And it shouldn't suffer. That's legit, whether it's a man or a woman. And if you're bringing more children into your life, especially adopted, because you don't get that like pregnancy period where you adopt, you know, where you get you adapt to, oh gosh, my wife's not available all the time, she's tired.
Yeah.
You don't get that warm up. It's like boom, and there they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a little different system. So I think that they should definitely make sure that they're doing like maybe the Intimacy 100-Day Guidebook.
Okay.
Pray together, do your feelings, have a sexual agreement, have a dating schedule.
But you said do your feelings. Can you explain that real quick?
You know, it's a feelings exercise. It's in the 100-Day Guide to Intimacy. And so basically, we do 2 feelings a day. Me and Lisa do 2 feelings a day.
Okay.
I feel this, I feel that. We do it for the last 30-some years.
Okay.
Yeah, so we share 2 feelings
Give me an
a day.
example of a feeling that you felt recently.
Well, like if I was yesterday, I would say, you know, I felt industrious because I'm working on a new project
Okay.
in the
Wow.
plane. And I felt very calm. I had an intense conversation yesterday with someone, but I felt very calm in that conversation.
Okay.
And so I would just do that. And
Yeah.
she would share 2 with me, so we stay emotionally connected.
Good.
And that's what this person's saying is, I don't mind more responsibility, but do I have to sacrifice my marriage to have that? No. But you have to be more disciplined in your marriage if you're going to take on more responsibility.
Wow, so good.
Very good. So here's another thing. So before we get to these additional questions, obviously you're having a lot of people now that are at home, that are maybe not
know.
working. They have a lot more time to be able to potentially have
pour into their
intimacy
relationship.
and work
Yeah.
on their marriage. So what advice would you give to people who now maybe have some extra time with each other?
I would say probably carve out at least 15 minutes a day, pray together, share 2 feelings, and praise each other.
Oh,
You know, because the absence of praise after we get married happens very frequently. You know, when we're lovers, I have a book called The Lover's Spouse. That's a great book because it says, hey, you didn't marry them to be a husband or wife. You married them to be their lover. How good are you being their lover? So if you're home for 2 or 3 weeks because you're a waiter or you worked at the gym or something like that, you know, spend that extra time and think of the positive things, but say them.
okay.
I mean, I had a couple recently, they've been married for decades, and they didn't know how to praise each other.
Oh,
Man,
And it's just, you know, it's a wow, yeah.
they couldn't say
So
like nice
it's
things
like-
between each
It's
other.
like, well, it took them a while, plus they didn't have the words
yeah.
to say,
Man.
you know, I really love, I
Yeah.
really appreciate, I'm really grateful for, for you. And then the other person has to say thank you. That's really important that they let it in.
Sure.
But they do this little like relationship workout every day. Even in the 2 or 3 weeks they get off of work, they'll be happier if they invest just 15 minutes a day doing that.
You know, so you said 2 feelings a day, but I feel like women experience at least 10. I just,
Yeah, but they don't
Can I
have to
say
share
2 in the
too. I
morning?
mean, they think in thousands of words too, but they don't have to say all thousands of them.
I feel this in the morning. I feel this at night. I'm just kidding. I was just throwing it out there. I feel differently in the morning and the evening after being with the kids. I'm just like, okay, I feel differently.
Oh yeah, that's
But-
true.
That's funny. Well, actually, you know what? We have a live caller standing by.
yes.
So,
Okay, great.
LaWanda from Dallas. Let's go.
Yes. Hi. Hi.
Go ahead, LaWanda.
What's your question?
What's your question?
Okay, my question is, being single for about 20 years and divorced, how can you love again? Because sometimes we live in the fear of getting in another relationship or getting in the wrong, especially if you are being in a bad relationship. How can we love again?
Well, love is a person. His name is Jesus.
Wow.
Okay? So that's in you. He's in you. Okay? God hasn't given you a spirit of fear. Now, I would say this time when you date, be wise. Have some men evaluate the men you're going to date. Okay? Have your spiritual mentor involved in that process and have good boundaries. Don't be sexual early just because you're older and walk through this. But start sharing your heart. We're going to get hurt. That's part of life. God hasn't called us to a painless life, but He has given us an indestructible heart. Your heart cannot be destroyed.
Wow.
So don't act like it can be. Your heart could be 1,000 million years in hell and it can't be destroyed. So if hell can't destroy the human heart, some bad relationship can't either. So you get right back out there and you play again and then just have some wisdom this time because you are going to be hurt. Even the perfect spouse is going to hurt you. That perfect child, they're going to hurt you. So don't let that be why you don't do things, okay? You can try again. And just stretch forth that withered arm because you've been holding it back really close and tight for a long time. stretch it out, because in the stretching comes healing.
Wow.
Grace, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
That
You're
was
welcome, and you're not
incredible.
alone.
Thank you.
Wow, such a great perspective.
All right, another question from our social media. I feel like our sex life has become so routine and it's not as fun as it used to be. What can we do to spice up our sex life?
Well, they've fallen into a common trap. I have a book called, and I've written 50 books, sorry.
Yeah.
So I have a book called Upgrade Your Sex Life. There's 5 different sexual expressions. They're missing each other. Okay, because this person is probably a little more on the creative side.
Okay.
Okay, and the other person might be on the patient side.
Okay.
And so they're just kind of like, now they're, you know, it's like when they go on a date, they only go to a movie. That kind of person. Okay? So instead of letting her experiment with her sexuality and him with his, they can learn each other's sexual expression, and then they can invite with that. They can use that language in foreplay, during, and after, and it totally can change the way they're playing. Okay? And so what they are suffering from is a lack of language. They don't know how the operating system of the other person works.
Yeah.
And once they do, they can take it to another level.
And you wrote a whole book on that called the 5...
Upgrade your sex life.
Upgrade Your Sex Life, and you talk about the 5 sex languages,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, next question. Ooh, this one. My husband seems emotionally distant from me. We just had our first child. Do you think that has anything to do with it? Ooh.
No, I don't. Because a person is either emotionally distant or close, not based on circumstances. It's their heart. Now, could she be more preoccupied and he have some resentment that he's not talking about? Maybe, you know. But again, if they were sharing the feelings every day, they'd be in touch with that.
Right.
Okay, and maybe he does need a little affection. Maybe his love language is touch, and she stopped touching him. He needs to ask her about that. So there's children, they expand you, but you have to adapt. You know that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, you have to adapt to, okay, there's this whole new being in the relationship, but how can we have this being in the relationship and still keep this really warm?
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of people, if they lack the discipline of keeping this warm, then it's easier to just be a good mom or a good dad, fill that role, and forget the spouse they're an adult.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's good because, you know, I was just first, that was hard to read that question because as a young mom, you know, you're most vulnerable with the newborn. But what helps you also is just knowing that this is not your baby and your responsibility. This is
Right.
your gift to God. I mean, a gift from God to
Right.
both of you. It's yours together. So,
Right.
yeah, there should be no one-sided
Yeah.
responsibility feeling.
Doug, what are some of the signs that sexual addiction might be present in a relationship?
Well, if it's a man, he'll stay immature. He'll still act like a 14-year-old. Okay, he'll have secrets, time, money, unexplained time, money. He'll get angry, especially if you say no to sex. It was like a child, like, you know, I was in a car accident today. I'm sorry, honey. What's your problem? You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of immaturity and that kind of stuff. And he'll have made promises to stop, and he doesn't.
Sure.
He'll have consequences like lose his job and still acts out. Like that would be signs of
Yeah.
someone who has an addiction.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, next question. My wife won't put her phone down.
Oh,
She's
my.
definitely addicted. What
Yes.
advice can you give me? Girl,
Wow.
no.
Yeah, that phone addiction's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a couple on the phone just the other day, and he's like, she can't put her phone down.
No.
And I like, okay, well, let's talk about, just start with some boundaries.
Okay.
Like, okay, maybe some 5 to 7, everybody's phone goes in a drawer.
Nice.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then we have family time, we eat, we do that. And if you want to get back on your phone, fine. But set up a time when there is no phone or electronic time in your family, and then everyone agrees to it and start there.
Yeah.
The person who is having an artificial life in the other world by just pushing buttons, it's really easy to have an artificial life.
Sure.
But the people in the real life feel ignored.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be, you know, a good parent if you're not
Right.
actually awake. Okay, you know, I think of a case where actually a mom, her child died right in front of her in the pool.
What?
Because she was on the phone.
Are you serious?
It happened in Utah.
Oh, my goodness.
At a high-end resort. And the mom was right there, like no further away than you are from me.
Oh my goodness.
But she was on her phone and her kid drowned right in front of her.
Oh my gosh.
But I think symbolically, a lot of kids drowned right in front of their moms and dads who are on their phone instead of watching the kid play soccer or playing a game with them or being in their lives, you know? And so we really need to look at how much time we are giving to the other world because Jesus deserves us in the real world. He's only in the real world. He's not in an altered world.
That's right.
So if you want to be like Jesus, you got to kind of stay present with who's around you. That's your responsibility. And so we need to go back to looking at that.
Absolutely.
Wow. Ooh.
Up next, stay tuned for more from Dr. Doug Weiss.
Dr. Doug Weiss has helped relationships heal from sex addiction and intimacy anorexia, and he's dedicated to seeing husbands and wives come back together. We're so excited to have him here today to keep answering some of your most important questions. Dr. Doug, thanks again for being here.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Answer these questions from people that are calling in. But before we get to another question, I know you have an event coming up called the Integrity Journey.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
IntegrityJourney.org, and that is all the leaders in the sexual recovery field. This is the first time getting together to equip the Church of Jesus Christ. So in every church, we need a man who wants to do this ministry. We need women who want to do this ministry. It's also for couples who are struggling. They can come. And also, that's in July in Colorado Springs. IntegrityJourney.org, they can sign up there. All the information's there for that. And that's going to be a church thing. That's a national conference for the church to get equipped, because we all know this thing's a plague.
Yeah.
And so churches are ill-equipped. So we're going to set it up so that there's a smorgasbord of people's ministries that they can pick from and say, oh, I like that one. Oh, I want to do that one. Let's start with this one. And it's where we're all coming together as a big tribe and saying, we want to heal the church. And so there's going to be some, like Ted Roberts will be there, Shannon Etheridge will be there, Jeremy Wiles, who did Conqueror's series, A Million Men watched that series. I mean, we really seriously want to take healing to the church.
That's awesome. How many years have you been doing this now?
This is our first conference for that.
Wow.
I mean, I've been in this ministry for 30 years, so I know everybody in this field. So we were coming together and doing this. First
annual.
First annual.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Integrity
So
Journey.
exciting.
It's very exciting.
IntegrityJourney.org.
IntegrityJourney.org.
Okay, ready for another question? What are some creative ways couples can fuel their love life?
Fuel it?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you want to make sure it's really about staying steady than it is injections.
Okay.
It's good to have a turbo engine, and then, if you're going to put the gas on it, you gotta flare it up. But it's really important to just keep gas in the tank. And again, that goes to having regular dates, having communications about money that's clear and focused, that's your money staying together, having your sexual agreement, having some fun weekends together where you just go off and have fun. I find some couples get really energized by just a Friday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Let's go to a town that's 50 miles away, 100 miles away, on a lake or in a shopping area.
And that's something that might be hard as couples have kids, but
it is, but it's really
you've really got to make it
Well, you just trade off with other couples.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Say, I'll watch your kids for 2 days, you watch mine for 2 days.
There you go.
Good
I got
idea.
April, I got May.
You got to be
Fantastic.
intentional about it.
You have to be intentional, absolutely. That's how you keep it going.
No, that makes sense because, I would say if Jonathan and I ever did a marriage retreat or getaway, I mean, the planning for it took so much time and to get the kids settled and, their meals. And you kind of almost don't want to do it because it's all this effort.
Work.
But then so when you actually get away, you're like, I'm so glad I did it. So I encourage you, do it.
Yes, absolutely.
That's right. We have another live caller standing by. Cameron from Canada. Cameron, what's your question for Dr. Doug?
Hi, guys. Thank you very much. Dr. Doug, you made a comment earlier about getting a pastor involved, and then you said your words were get another man involved. I'm sure you'd like an opportunity to clarify the extent of transparency and the extent of delicacy that would involve, because certainly a woman who's vulnerable in a situation like that could be very susceptible. My suggestion would be that a woman gets one of her friends involved, and if a man gets interjected into the situation, then it goes through the two women. Would you choose to clarify on that? Or choose to clarify?
I'm totally okay with a woman being supported by another woman. Totally okay with that. But men make men, okay? And I can tell you by thousands of experiences, a man comes in, his wife's been asking for 20 years to change, and in moments, I can just confront him, and he grows up. Men make men. The spiritual authority over this man's life is supernaturally there, and if he's accountable to that man, he'll start growing up. Men don't grow up being accountable to women. They grow up being accountable to men.
How does the actual interaction between the initial query from the woman and the man take place and still fit into safeguarding principles?
Well, she can do it by phone. She can do it in a public setting. She can do it at the altar call and say, listen, Pastor, I need you to come talk to my husband. He's involved in pornography. She doesn't need to do it in the privacy of his office. It needs to be confidential, but it doesn't need to be private. So she can.
I understand what you said about pastors live by a different code, but I was just hoping that you would clarify that, when a woman's hurting.
I think we lost him. But I think his point's well taken. A woman can have a protocol to talk to her spiritual leader, but it's really important that a man's involved in a man's life, because men straighten men out.
Yes.
Okay? And there's an authority that men have with each other.
Yeah.
If you say, honey, I want to lose 5 pounds, and you go, okay, whatever, she can't be. But if you say to me, you want to lose 5 pounds, I'm going to say, okay, how? What are you going to do? When are you going to call me? You know, we're going to go through a different system.
Right. Oh, so good. Okay, next question. I feel like no matter what I say, it always leads to an argument. How can we communicate better with each other?
Well, again, she's having a feeling. I would rather her share a feeling with her husband.
Okay.
You know, honey, I feel frustrated. I feel unheard. How can we do this differently? And if they can't, which it sounds like that's where they're stuck, then get help.
Yeah.
Like if you can't figure out how to pay your bills, go see someone who knows how to pay bills. You know, if you don't know how to cook, go take a cooking class.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're so independently minded, like, I got to know all the answers. You don't. The reason you hit a wall is because God's going to put some other person in their life to help you get through that and stay past that. I mean, so many times I'll hire a consultant if I don't know something.
Absolutely.
And that's how I grow.
Yeah.
You know, so I would just say get a consultant.
And it's good to realize you need to learn to grow. I mean, that's
and it's
important.
good because, like, if they go to a marriage mentor in their church, they're going to get a different perspective.
Yeah.
And sometimes neither one of them can see actually what's going on.
Yes.
So it really helps.
And I would also add for your daily life, I'm no expert, but something that's worked really beautifully for me is that I always pray to the Holy Spirit and say, you know, get his heart ready for me. So when I talk to him, it's open to receive. And it's worked so beautifully every time I prayed that.
Hey, have you prayed that on me?
Oh, absolutely. Well, Jonathan has a gift of being a good steward of money, and I have a gift of being more, give it away, give everything. So it works beautifully because we need the balance.
You
and
do.
so I usually pray, Lord, if this is from you. And there's times where he said, no, honey, this is not the right time or
Yes,
something. And
sure.
so it's good.
That's very good.
Next question.
Awesome. All right, next question. I was openly honest about what was bothering me and how my needs weren't being met, and I feel like my spouse is in denial. He clearly thinks he's not doing anything wrong. What should I do or say?
The same thing. Get another person involved.
Yes.
If you hit a wall in your marriage, that's a place where God wants you to grow. So find an expert in that area and get them in your life, okay, so that you can get through it. But again, he's talking to his wife, so he can be in denial. But if he's talking to a guy, and so he's like, hey, you know, I play golf from Friday night to Sunday. I don't see my kids. I abandon everybody. I don't even talk to my dog. The guy's going to say, are you crazy?
Yeah.
And, you know, his wife's been saying that for 10 years.
Right,
but the guy's going to say, are you crazy?
Right.
You're abandoning your family for a white ball?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's limit that. Can we do
Exactly.
that?
For sure.
And the guy's going to be like, automatically, oh, wait a minute, that is right, right?
Right.
So get someone else involved when you hit a wall. A wall just means you need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and we do that in so many other areas of our life, but marriage, we seem like we're supposed to know it all.
That's
Right.
so good.
And you're not.
You
You're
don't.
supposed to go through it.
And it's so good. We're going to go to a live caller, but first, I saw this one question, and I think it's kind of funny a little bit. It says, I want to sleep with my wife, but my kids won't stop coming into our room. How can we fix this problem? Can I just say, I have a solution, lock your door, and scream, leave us alone?
Lock
Go
your door is
away.
fine. But here's another quick one. Have the dad put the kids to bed.
Oh,
Because if dad says, you stay in your bed, or there will be consequences,
right.
the child actually believes the dad.
Yeah.
They don't believe when mom says that.
But it works the opposite with us. I'm the one, they're terrified.
They're terrified of you? Okay. Well, if it works that way, fantastic. Whoever they believe.
Okay.
But it's usually the guy. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you stay in bed or else. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, dad. You know, because usually dads are like, they believe their dad will actually implement a consequence
Yeah.
or something like that,
That's
where it's
true.
like mom's going to be like, oh, it's okay.
Give 'em
honey,
grace.
Come in. But yeah, locking your door is probably really the first clue.
Exactly.
I had one
If you have the lock, invest in one, for sure.
And scream, leave us alone.
Awesome.
Works.
Well, we have another live caller standing by. Virginia from Alberta, Canada. What's your question for Dr. Doug?
Hi. I've been married to my husband for 18 years, and each pregnancy, we have 6 children, and each pregnancy, he would always say he was going to change. He still has bad habits, which I knew he had before we got married. And so he says, well, you knew how I was before I got married, and you still married me. And so my comeback is always, well, you know, you haven't in any way tried to change. And I feel sometimes like he's constructively destroying our marriage because he has marijuana habits and drinking. When he goes to work, he works all the time, but weekends he'll sometimes drink. So I am very frustrated right now because I don't know how to deal with this when we have children that he's influencing, obviously. And I am being the spiritual leader of our home, and it's very frustrating for me. How do I deal with this?
Well, I think that this is really tricky because he's being honest with you. He was what he was, and you did marry him, and he's being honest. And so he makes promises to change, but he can't follow through. He probably has addictions, so which means whether it's work addiction, alcohol addiction, or other addictions, he's going to stay emotionally about 14 years old. Okay, so spiritually he'll be immature. Morally he'll be immature. He will be immature in his responses, and even the way he helps around the house will feel like you have another child as opposed to an adult, right?
That's correct.
Right. So you have an addict as a spouse who was honest before he married you, and without help he can't change. It's not like he doesn't want to. Okay, he will actually have to admit to himself he has a problem, which he hasn't done yet. And once he does admit that he has a problem, he'll need some help, whether it's support groups or counseling or whatever. So you're kind of in a situation where he has to make that decision, and you can accept that it may take time, but he's kind of thinking, hey, you married me, you agreed to it, and it's not the right disposition, but it is a disposition of an immature person, and you have an immature person. Now, I would say, like we've been saying, get other people involved, maybe talk to your pastor or get some men involved in his life, or see if you can move him incrementally towards men, because only men can grow him up. You cannot grow up a man, and you cannot grow up an addict man for sure. So yours is going to be a journey, but it's not unfair because he didn't trick you.
No.
And so you're going to have to walk that out in where you are with that. I get support for yourself as well, but that's going to be tough because of how it started. It's going to be tough to. It's like I married him and my love is going to change him. Well, that doesn't happen. We all know that's a fairy tale, and you're living the consequence of that decision. And so you might have to change what you're expecting because he's obviously staying in his addiction. He's going to stay immature until he decides to change. Now, you can decide to have boundaries. You can decide to get consequences and get in a support group for something. That might be helpful for you. If it's alcohol, go to Al-Anon or some Christian-based Celebrate Recovery group for you. Start your path of healing, and maybe that will encourage him.
Should we pray about that?
Yeah, I'll pray that you can find other women who can support you. I pray that you'll go. I pray that you'll have wisdom. I'll pray that his heart does open to be mature, and that the medicine he's using in his soul will become feel ill to him, so he will repent and heal. And I agree with you with that, and I agree that you will take the steps you need to take for your own healing. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for the call. All right, Dr. Doug, another question for you. So I've been dating a man for 6 years, but he hasn't made a commitment about the future. Should I wait or let him go and move on? What should I do?
Move on.
Okay, Susie answered it.
Yeah.
You're good.
Go. You are too valuable and precious. He is not worth the time.
Yeah,
Bye.
he doesn't see your value.
Exactly.
So why would you want to be married to someone who doesn't see your value?
Right?
Good point.
Right?
Yeah.
So there we go. That was easy. Susie
Easy.
answered that real quick.
Thank you.
Okay. We have someone asking, how can I begin the journey to quit addictions?
Okay, well, just like we was sharing with her, acknowledge that you have one. Talk to someone else about it. And if it's someone, if whatever the addiction is, find someone who knows about that particular addiction. If it's food, gambling, sex, porn, whatever, find someone in your area who knows about that, or call our office, do telephone counseling with somebody, and check in that way. But get your right next steps. Get education on that particular topic. Go to those kind of support groups, get accountability, get some consequences going, and they can do that. But I'd say get some information, for sure.
Awesome. All right. So this question says, my husband passed away 4 years ago.
Oh.
Should I feel guilty about going into another relationship?
Okay. If your husband passed 4 years ago, you are free. Have no shame about dating, finding love. That means you're on earth to love somebody, and someone's really missing your love. Go out and find who that is. Now, be wise, be responsible, stay accountable in your process of dating, but go have the fun of your life. Your spouse is in heaven, and they want you to be happy on earth. They know that you need to be loved, touched, wanted, enjoyed, have romance. Go for that. You are free, so be free.
This one is special. She says, I have been a widow for a few years, and I'm longing for intimacy. What can I do? What do you suggest?
The same thing I just suggested to this last lady. You two need to get along, okay? But yeah, go out and have fun. If you're widowed or widower, go have fun. Do not withhold your heart. You were faithful. You knew how to do marriage. You have the skills to do marriage. So go find someone who really wants to be loved and love them with all your heart.
Wow,
Awesome.
so good.
Dr. Doug, one of the things that we're seeing today is our culture is just being inundated and desensitized, you know, to just sex today. I mean, you're seeing so many images of TV and movies. So, you know, how should we safeguard against that?
Well, for the men, I wrote a book called Clean.
Yeah.
And we talk about the holy hologram and how women are holy.
Yeah.
And to see women as holy. That really can help you quite a bit. But I think every couple should have boundaries on media.
Yeah.
Yes.
Computer, telephones, porn blockers. They can go to drdugweiss.com, click porn blocker, get that on the phone, get it on the computer, and stop it from coming to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Should we pray?
Yeah, let's pray. So, Dr. Doug, we've got all these people that have called in today with different prayer needs and requests, and a lot of people that are hurting, as we've heard. Would you mind putting your hand over these and saying
Sure.
prayer today?
Father God, we thank you so much for these hearts that are open. And when a heart is open, you are so willing to meet that heart. We bless you for the purity that needs to come in their lives, the character needs to be grown up and matured. We thank you for these women who've reached out, who are crying out in pain. And we pray that you meet them where they are. Father, the journey might be many steps, but you are with them in every step. So we bless your name, and we thank you that you are the answer, regardless of what the problem is. And your love is so enduring. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen. Awesome. And Dr. Doug, how can people find your materials once again?
drdugweiss.com. They can go there and get anything they want.
drdugweiss.com. Thanks for watching. We love you. Stay tuned for more.